ask this first because I can't be the only one. Do you guys have that one person in your life where you can go a while without talking? Because you know, life be life and we're adults now, you're living your life. But every time you guys do talk, it's like you guys are on the same wavelength mentally and emotionally. That is how I feel whenever I talk to one of my cousins. I'm like, you too? Dang. It doesn't matter what we're doing or how long it's been since we've spoken. When we do finally chit chat and catch up, we're always on this same wavelength. I'm like, dang, okay, so I'm not alone. So a couple of weeks ago, me and my cousin had one of those conversations and it inspired today's topic. I really want to discuss what it really means to experience true grace. Allowing yourself to have off days, right? You guys know that I am somebody who's really passionate about overall just mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness. And so for a very long time, I have been on this path of self-improvement. I enjoy evolving. Ever since I got introduced to the concept of personal development back when I was like 19, I was like, oh wow, this is a section in Barnes and Nobles. Like people make books about these topics. It's so cool, right? So as I go through life, I've always tried to live in a way where at that moment in time, I felt like I would be proud of myself, right? Let me know if you can relate to this. With that came with a lot of ending up being the strong friend or that one responsible family member, the person nobody ever sees sweat. You don't wear your emotions on your sleeve, really. You are the one who keeps it all together. I realized that when you go so long with not trying to show your emotions, or you know, and you just basically internalize and stuff it down, you get to a point where your emotions erupt, they pop. Sometimes you learn how to internalize your emotions and not feel and kind of like just dust things off your shoulder and just keep it pushing, because it may not have necessarily been safe for you to experience certain feelings. There may have been some sort of pushback or consequences or shaming or guilting when you express certain feelings at a certain time in your life. So you learned, hey, when I feel this way, this consequence happens. So I'm just gonna not openly feel this way so that I can avoid consequences, because the consequences lead to more discomfort and more problems that I don't want to face. So I'm just going to act like everything's okay and just not showcase what I'm feeling. And then it gets to being disingenuous. Like you do this for a long time. And essentially there's like this mask you're wearing where you seem like everything's okay, but deep down, you are in your feelings about some things. But because of survival, you have learned to just act like it's all good because you want to keep the peace and you don't want to be a disturbance. You don't want to be an inconvenience. You don't want to be a burden. You don't want to disrupt anyone else's flow, anyone else's vibe, anyone else's day. But then it gets to a point where you're kind of abandoning yourself and you're dismissing yourself, and then at some point, to get your own attention, the emotions have to come out. They have to release. And what I found out was when I just actually started feeling things that I needed to feel in private, because I'm very, look, one thing about me, I really, really, really have to trust a person to let them see vulnerable parts of me, right? If someone has ever seen my vulnerable side in terms of just crying or anything like that, like any heavy emotion, if someone has seen that, it's because I really trust you, you know? So I don't just do that. Like I have friends to this day, they'll be like, Portia, I don't think I've ever seen you cry. I will drunk cry. Like I'll just be like, I love you so much, ah. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sober, in your feelings, heavy emotions. Like that happens in private or with a select few people that I trust with those heavy feelings. People that I know won't shame me later or try to twist it on me or use it against me, you know? And that takes time. Learning who you can trust really does take time. Emotional safety is extremely important. I definitely value privacy, so I'm not somebody who's just about to just be crying on the internet or just telling everybody everything. I'm just, there is a bird outside. He must be right. Excuse that, I'm sorry, but I have to keep talking. I just am not that way. But I still think, however you do it, if you do have a safe space, or if you do have like a licensed professional you can speak with, or even just by yourself, just getting comfortable, just allowing yourself to experience certain emotions by yourself, right? I came across something online, I seen like a quote, and it said like, I will not abandon myself the way that I was abandoned. And that could just be emotionally, right? Maybe at a certain point you were trying to express certain emotions, but it just wasn't acceptable. It just wasn't okay. Like, so you felt emotionally abandoned, like, hey, like, or you felt like something was wrong with you because you experienced this and then you were shamed for it. So it's like, oh, is something wrong with me because I'm feeling this way? No, nothing's wrong with you. All feelings are completely natural. I think we're just now getting to a place where it's openly talked about. I feel like in prior years, it just was not talked about, just across families, right? I can't speak for all families, but I've seen things where people are coming out and they're just like, yeah, like this wasn't discussed. And even when I spoke with my own parents, my parents were saying like, even when they were growing up, you just did not talk about your emotion. When you walked outside, everything was all good. You keep things, family stuff, or just your own personal emotions, like you keep that inside, that's private, right? So that probably has a lot to do with why I am so private, because I feel like it's just like a generational thing that's just been happening. Even though I am private in the privacy of my own safe space, I will allow myself to just feel now. You do have to let yourself be mad. Like you have to let yourself be sad. You do have to let yourself feel frustration, annoyance. Like these are natural emotions that have to come out because they are telling you something. Like you obviously feel triggered. Maybe a boundary was crossed, and then you have to learn how to adjust and advocate for yourself accordingly. Obviously, I'm always for respectful communication. Just because you're angry, I say this all the time, just because you're angry, it does not give you the right to be disrespectful. Your emotions are yours. I'm a firm believer in that. Like how you feel belongs to you. There is no reason to spew that out on other people. Your feelings are valid always, but there's no reason to project and try to hurt other people because you're hurting. I just don't think that that's okay. I just don't. I understand where it comes from, but I still don't think it's okay. That's probably why I also value doing things in private, because I don't like putting stuff on people. But sometimes you do need people. Like I said, I will talk to people I really trust about important things, and they help me work through it, and it's just a safe space where I feel extremely comfortable. I'll journal, or I'll just try to work out my thoughts, right? Just allow myself to do a brain dump, or I'll just sit there and I'll let myself feel it, and then I'll just like observe, why is this coming up? What am I feeling right now? Okay, I feel angry. Okay, I feel upset. Okay, just understanding what I feel, because if you get to a point where you have not felt for a long time, because out of survival, right? You're protecting yourself. You're trying to keep the peace. If you are not allowing yourself to feel, maybe you don't know what it's like to feel after a while. So just redeveloping that safe space within yourself of just allowing yourself to experience true emotions and then release them. When you feel it, it goes away. It's crazy. Like I learned like, whoa, this is nothing to be ashamed of. This is nothing to be afraid of. This is nothing to feel guilty about. When I feel things, they pass. You can feel things and cope in a way that's healthy. You can cope in a way that is conducive to your well-being, and you'll feel good about yourself when you learn how to cope in ways that are just helpful, that don't lead down a path of regret. I think there's a way to feel anger. Like your anger is justified, but there's a way to feel it without causing more harm. There's a way to release these heavy, hard, uncomfortable emotions without inflicting them on other people. And I just encourage that, because you will be so proud of yourself when you do. Like, so back to my conversation with my cousin, we were just talking about how we have moments, right, where we feel like we're having the best week ever. You're just doing things that make you feel good and you feel productive. And then you have those weeks where maybe you don't really feel like getting up early. Maybe a thought came up and now you're triggered and you feel like, dang, I thought I took 10 steps forward, but now I feel right back in that place. But when those moments happen, I just want to encourage you to look at it like this, right? maybe those emotions are finally coming up because you're finally in a space where you can feel them safely. Maybe it wasn't always safe for these emotions to come up. When you're in survival mode for so long, you learn how to not do that. But when you're on this healing journey and you're trying to evolve and you're trying to develop new habits that are more beneficial for you at this point in your life, maybe the emotions are coming up because it's like, oh, it's safe now. Okay, let me feel it. And that is not taking 5 steps back. Honestly, that sounds like a win, and it sounds like improvement. It sounds like growth. It sounds like part of the healing journey. And one thing about the healing journey, when these types of moments happen, it just lets you know that healing is not linear. And it's okay when you're having a great week and then something happens and you feel triggered, and then now you feel like you're back to square one. You're not back to square one, because now you have the tools, and it's an opportunity to truly experience the grace that you've always wanted to feel, the grace you want to give yourself. These are opportunities for you to allow yourself to be human, to allow yourself the grace that you so graciously extend to other people. Now it's your turn to receive the unconditional love that you may be showing to other people. You know, unconditional love, like, what does that really mean? Have any of us ever really felt it? Well, this is a chance for you to start showing up for yourself and giving yourself the unconditional love that you desire. You have to pay attention to yourself, and when you can have grace with yourself and be gentle with yourself and allow yourself that safe space, it gets easier to do that for others. It gets easier to show up for others. It gets easier to have more compassion for others, because you learn, like, we're all experiencing things like this. It could be for different reasons, but we all feel every emotion that there is. We are all equal in that aspect where, yeah, we're gonna feel stuff, but it's how do we go about feeling this? How can we do this in a way where our lives improve and we grow from this? Not in a way where we're just continuing traumatic cycles and it just keeps getting passed down. Like, no, we're gonna stop doing this. We're going to understand what doesn't work anymore. And that's what I love right now about social media. In some aspects, there are people more comfortable with talking about stuff like this and sharing stuff like this, especially like therapists, when they are on social media and they're just kind of dropping little tips and little nuggets. It's very refreshing, and it just feels very healing, and it feels like a relief. Like, you really do feel like you're not alone. So that's the aspect of social media I like. There's so much information out there now. This is information that I think is so helpful, and I just really wanted to talk about it because I want people to understand that as you're healing and growing and evolving, you are gonna have those days that are gonna feel like, ugh, this is so uncomfortable. Like, you are gonna have days where you're back to feeling pissed off at a certain point, or you're back to feeling upset, or you might be off track. It's okay to have those days. Extend love on yourself. Show yourself the grace that you desire, that you would want from somebody else. Show yourself that. Y'all know I'm all for self-empowerment, so I really, really, really hope this video was helpful. Please drop a comment and let me know if anything I said resonated with you, and maybe even share your own experience that you may have had where you felt like you had an off day, but then you extended yourself some grace, and then if you felt proud of yourself later, like, oh, I'm so happy I just let myself feel what I needed to feel, because now it's not carrying over. Now I don't feel so heavy. Now I've released it. Now I feel lighter. Now I can go about my business, and then I know when these moments come up in the future, I know exactly how to handle them, because I'm showing myself it's okay to be human. It's okay to have human experiences, human feelings. It's okay. It is okay. I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video.